LoreFi just changed/updated their livestream, which of course means more lore and clues for us to sift through. Furthermore, several songs with interesting details have been released since last I covered LoreFi, each adding small bits to the larger narrative. We've got plenty of environmental storytelling clues and codes ahead, so let's get into it. The description has changed to include a new phrase assembled by picking out capitalized letters that are misplaced throughout the paragraph. This time, the word we get is DTIYYPC. Obviously, we aren't done yet as this is completely unreadable. Turns out this is a cipher, and when shifted correctly, it spells out the word sinner. Now, in the last episode, we talked about the book of Leviticus and a Bible verse that talked about the evils of stealing and deception. So the concept of sinning is something that has been previously established in LoreFi. I think this further establishes the likely idea that Taylor is stealing music. At first glance, it may seem that nothing huge has developed in comparison to the original livestream, but several details around the room have changed. For instance, some relatively inconsequential updates include the fact that a photo has fallen to the floor and her remnant poster has begun curling, both details that lend themselves to the fact that a little time has passed since last livestream. An interesting change is the newspaper in the trash can. You'll recall that in the trailer there was a headline about a local boy going missing, which was a reference to the 12-year-old Gregory and served as a confirmation that the boy lived relatively nearby Taylor. This time we have a headline from the Daily Herald reading, "Missing Boy's Backpack Found." This isn't a lot of information, but either the police and investigators found the backpack or someone else found it and called it in. But either way, this could be a hint towards the circumstances in which Gregory was kidnapped. If his backpack being found is at all significant discovery, it is probable that he is believed to have had it on his person when he disappeared. This could suggest he was kidnapped either to or from school, or when he was out with his backpack supplies for some other reason. Beyond that, there isn't much else we can glean from the newspaper headline. Some new music related objects are now scattered around the room, including a book on music, a music quiz sheet, and some sheet music of a song we know from the LoreFi playlists. Out of her backpack, a book title is visible, and it turns out that it is the yearbook from W. Dixon High School, which, in my view, confirms Taylor is in high school and that she goes to the same one that Kate Probable does. To the bottom left, there is a color pad, which actually serves as a type of code, and when deciphered, it provides us a link. The link is kind of a troll, but I suggest you give it a try. The significance is that the word anidophobia means fear of ducks, specifically, the fear that a duck is always watching you. This relates back to the logo of LoreFi and, of course, the symbol of the virus. Her to-do list has been changed as well. It now reads music homework, which probably confirms that she's in some sort of music class or lessons, hence the music-related papers and books that are everywhere. The to-do list also says backup computer. An interesting pairing with this is a book that is a manual for a new computer. This shows that Taylor is concerned enough about something to have plans to have a backup computer, which I believe lends itself to Taylor getting up to sketchy things online. She wouldn't be preparing like this in advance if she didn't have reason to be concerned, probably stemming from her own actions. Her corkboard has a tuned out paper with some Morse code on it that says tag you're it, just like the song of the same name. This brings up an interesting conversation as to what is and isn't canon in the LoreFi universe. Like, this is clearly Morse code, but are we supposed to assume that Taylor intentionally wrote it that way? Are we supposed to believe that the music, which we know is in universe thanks to Taylor's computer displaying some of the song names, and of course the references to the song titles in other places, canonically has the spectrograms and code sequences in them as well? Or are we to assume that's just for us, the players from a different universe to interact with and isn't literally in the fictional universe? We already know that the framing of a YouTube channel isn't canon, as the descriptions and whatnot are told through a narrator, and obviously directly advertise the theory channels and the writers and creators of the series. I also think the view we have of Taylor isn't supposed to be some separate camera or whatever due to what was just previously said, so there are already a couple of things we have to accept as not canon while investigating this series. That said, are the codes that are embedded into the songs and objects around the room canonically in universe, or are they simply for us to solve in order to find some hints towards the story? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. If you're watching this video, that probably means you're interested in storylines, and one of the best ways to consume stories is through reading books. For the past 6 years, I've been writing and self-publishing novels to Amazon, which can be read in both digital and paperback form. Overall, I write in the science fiction genre, but each book has a slightly different nuance that will appeal to people invested in other genres as well. Do you enjoy high-concept sci-fi? Linear Highway and Genesis Prince of Time should hit the spot. More of a spiritual horror fan? Cult of Shadows has a soul-shaking story to get lost in. Or perhaps you're into more of a mystery, better yet, a mystery that prompts you to put the pieces together and solve the narrative for yourself. In that case, Frameless Mirror should be perfect. If you enjoy stories and reading, please check out my authors page on Amazon and find the book that appeals to you. Or perhaps even delve into the entire Lloyd's Halt series. A huge thanks to anyone who considers this, links are in the description, and now back to the video. So Taylor's computer is now displaying several things with the word Maxton in front of it in the Grapevine software, including virus, antivirus, and keygen. Now, these all line up with the themes of viruses that are heavy in this series, but the somewhat obscure word is keygen. A keygen is a computer program that generates a product licensing key, such as a serial number necessary to activate for the use of a software application. I think this is yet another tie-in to Taylor stealing music or potentially other online wrongdoing, and using software from Maxton to accomplish it. Perhaps most intriguing is that there is now a green sticky note on her board that says "Don't look" with a picture of her window. The reasoning for this is not yet clear, but it gives off substantially creepy vibes in my opinion. Hopefully we'll get further context for that soon. Maybe Taylor is feeling watched from the outside or something? That's all I really got from the new livestream for now, so let's move on to the songs that have continued to be released. The most prominent ones that I haven't mentioned in a video yet include Menu Beat and This Mess of Letters. This is a message in base 64, and when translated to English, it gives the second Bible verse to make an appearance in LoreFi, Matthew 12:36-37. This verse reads, "But I tell you that everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned." This one focuses on speaking empty words, which could link back to how the last verse mentioned lies. Maybe Taylor is building a web of deceit, or maybe this one could be talking about the actions of her father or mother or some other character for that matter. Another highlight from the verse is the idea of a coming judgment, which could be getting at the fact that Taylor is suffering the consequences of her wrongdoing if she did indeed get the virus as a result of stealing music. The second song we'll discuss is Menu Beat, which has something very interesting at the end of it. When slowed and reversed, it sounds like this.
From Chicago's NBC5, this is NBC5 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being with us. I'm Derek Blakely.
And I'm Natalie Martinez, in for Anna DeVlantis. Police aren't divulging much.
The fact that this is from Chicago further strengthens all the previous connections to the Chicago area that have been present in the series thus far. The final line of "police aren't divulging much" is most likely referring to the missing Gregory case, at least in this universe, although I suppose it is possible there is some other investigation going on that we don't yet know. It is interesting that we get a snippet from an actual news report though, so we'll have to keep an eye out for similar things in the future. That's all I got for now, not a ton of new information, but it is nice to see the room getting updated even though a third episode hasn't yet dropped. I'll continue to keep an eye on the series and provide updates, and hopefully we can start to unravel the true extent of the story. As for now, the unknown persists, so the investigation continues.